Guys, this is a tutorial on how to do this little APC sketch in Blender using QuickTools. So I'm just going to talk about some of the practical ways to use tools, the differences between QuickShape and QuickCurve, and how to texture and kind of create this like sketchy, concept arty way of modeling. So first, I actually want to point out this tutorial by John Park. I think this has a really good workflow that translates directly to QuickShape. We talk about QuickShape as being like drawing in 3D, but maybe it's more like painting in 3D because you're starting with volumes and you're kind of like booleaning out shapes and thinking about shapes. And that tutorial just does a really great job of covering that. But here, so I'm starting with QuickCurve because I want to draw the object. So in this case, the APC, I'm just doing like a really rough sketch. So I have the proportions and everything. And this is kind of how I mean, like, I think QuickCurve is more drawing and QuickShape is a little more paint. I have a sketch just enough to get started, and there's a million ways to do this. That's kind of the hard part about making these tutorials. Just infinite ways that you can draw and paint and start this. Like here, I started with an Ngon, I leveled box, but also just use everything with lasso. I mean, you can use a lasso, you can use an Ngon only, depends. And you can always, go to edit mode and edit stuff, which is the best part about being in Blender and having this like 3D coat type of workflow in Blender. Always use any of the other tools. Starting with quick deform, so I can over. So this I'm actually doing a little like block out, so I am using the primitives, and then later on I switch just to using the lasso because I want that like sketchy feel to it. I just turn the array on. In order to duplicate an arrayed object, you have to collapse the modifier first, so that I was able to duplicate it over. Some details. Here I started using the lasso a little. Up close, the lasso obviously doesn't ever really look good, but from a distance, I think it has the look that I tend to use that more. That's what I mean with painting. Like it's kind of you're in a side view, you draw your shape, and then you go to a different view, cut out from the shape. You have this kind of painting in 3D. Just always using to mirror stuff. Using the separate to with the lasso, I'm separating. Here I'm using the work plane. You basically have a choice. You can either take time to get the depth and location and everything right and then draw and you're done, or you can just draw it kind of how it is and then move it into place. And in this video, you're going to see I do it both ways. It kind of depends on the object and the situation. Here I start bringing in a little more QuickCurve. I like QuickShape for big objects or big volumes, and QuickCurve for details. But again, it's always personal preference, experience with the tools. Sometimes it's the opposite. Separate stuff, some seam line. Here I turn on surface drawing mode on QuickCurve and I Here I use a grab, I think. Actually ended up removing the resolution there and just manually editing. It's the fastest way to get that shape where I wanted. So I'll be in QuickTools like 90% of the time and then just a little bit for edit mode. And it also depends on your drawing skills and kind of how you think about it, how much experience you have with the tools. Maybe there was a different way to do that. Didn't occur to me at the time. But for stuff like antennas, like this is so cool because you draw it and it just has that look. And here I'm actually going to quick grab now and I'm messing up the tires because I made them like perfect circles. And to go in and just add that, a little bit of randomness to it, a little bit of making it look messed up. It's no different than what painters are doing. That's what I'm trying to do in QuickShape with QuickTools. Back and forth between quick curve and quick shape, however I do the specific detail. And a lot of this stuff is like, it's not exact, it's just to look right when it when it's in lit and textured and shadows, just needs something. Now so I'm doing the turret here, very loose. But it's fast, and you can go in and change that with you can put a kit bash element in there, make it look good. You can isolate one piece and kind of refine it. But if you wanted to just do a quick block out, quick design, it really doesn't get much faster than this workflow. Back to D. I'm using the work plane to be able to draw the shape. Yep. So there's a lot of, if you choose to draw it right where you want it to go, if that statement makes sense, then you kind of have to do an undo because you can't tell perfectly in 3D because it's still 2D, like you're not in VR. So if you're gonna go that way, then you're gonna have to undo a few times and redraw it. And then once you get the depth right, then you can draw multiple shapes and they'll be perfect. But that first one, it takes a minute, as opposed to just draw it and then move it into place. Adding the lid. I did the character. This is kind of assuming that you paint over it later. So it's very, very simple. Just using the remesh and the smoothing from quick to form, I can get a bit organic. So here I have the basic sketch done. I switch over to texturing. So with quick texture, just throw in an image. Everything is in the viewport. It's just such a time saver. It's so awesome. Start using all the hotkeys to change the roughness values, change color, and just try and get something that here I'm bringing in some images as kind of as decals. And the difference is though, without, as opposed to using like different add-on or just putting in a, making a plane and putting a texture on it, this still has all of the good quick texture controls. So I can adjust the value, I can brighten it up, change the color, I can lower the opacity, and all of that is the hotkey and the viewport, so it's very fast. It's interesting to do fog this way because then you don't have all of the slowdown. It kind of looks better anyways. You're gonna put that in Photoshop anyway, so you could do it in Blender. So I was able to darken that one, which is like something you do in concept art, but maybe in you have like a fog volume, it's not going to have that because everything's 100% realistic. But with quick texture, you can do those kind of concept art. Just adding some dirt now. And you could have just drawn a bunch of dirt, copied it over. That's also a very easy thing to do. And with these decals, the nice thing is that you can always cut it. But in this case, I did choose to do all his images. The whole thing was pretty fast. It was probably like an hour real time. And, maybe if I wasn't recording it, I could have gone a little bit faster. I had to do something. But it's really just an easy. Actually 80 minutes because this is sped up 4 times. It's about 20 minutes, so it was about 8 minutes real time. Just changing the colors of the decals. Here I started texturing the APC itself. And this is really the bread and butter of quick texture. Just throw in a texture, scale it really fast, just the roughness. Here I'm gonna add a layer in a second. Yeah, so doing this second layer using a mask to put between the two, that is what I felt like when I'm working. 90% of the materials in my scene just need to be that. I don't have time to like manually make all those nodes and change those settings because you do need to adjust the scale, you need to adjust the color on everything. And to be able to just do this in the viewport, not waste any more time. You usually have to paint after you've just spent a few hours modeling. So being able to streamline this process just makes me really. Just trying to get it right, trying to get the right color variation. Look okay when I'm zoomed out. This was a hero asset, maybe take more care, but something like this. Here I'm using a decal to just put a face on the guy. And he's pretty small and far away, so I'm doing this really clothing demo. I knew that this cable just needed to be a simple material, so I just took an image and just turn the value down all the way. Here I'm actually adding a decal to the whole APC. Add a little bit more variation and add some dirt and grime. I think this is really cool. You can do this and move it around, change the resolution, the opacity. There's really no reasonable way to do this on QuickTools. Take way too long. I'm bringing in another decal. I painted that Photoshop. Put it in, adjust the opacity so it blends in nicely. Tires. Here I didn't bother like get a rubber material or some kind. Just use some whatever I had, just the value, just the roughness, and it's good enough. I actually went back into modeling mode for a second to just add a little bit more details because I did want it to be like this loose sketch, but I felt like it was just a little too simple and the video would be a little too short. So I just went back in, turn the work plane on, draw a couple shapes on this. Got a different reference of the front. Really doing just like painting is, trying to get something that will catch some highlights, cast some shadows. For a big like volume like this, I'll use quick shape and then start using actually like right here. And imply some kind of patch handle. In the quick curve settings, you just have to be aware of the draw only on selected option. Me up a little bit. You have to either select the object or just turn that off so that it'll draw on every scene. And that's what I'm doing with these quick curve settings. It's just turning on the draw on surface mode. I finally setting on, so not a problem. Drawing a bunch of stuff. Drawing all the little bolts. But it looks, like it looks painterly because it's not just this perfect cylinder that has this like very small bevel. Doesn't really catch a light perfect. Whereas this one, it's big. It's kind of, it's pretty good for just casting a shadow. And that's all I want. Like that shape, I could have made that with quick shape. Just ended up making it with quick curve. They can be interchangeable, but in terms of functions, do kind of different. Quick curve, like I said, is more, I feel like drawing, and quick shape is adding a bunch of details again, and because it's on surface, it's just always perfectly on where I need it to be. Finish up the little details here. love how messed up it looks. Like it's not, nothing is perfect. No perfect circle. All of the little details are slightly different sizes. This has that. But if you wanted to, you could always just take a little bit more time, use the end gone tool instead of the lasso, use the box instead of just drawing lasso, and you can get it very clean. So here, instead of modeling these vents, I thought I haven't really shown the decals off enough. So I put the vents as decals. These mesh decals, mesh decal system in QuickTools. To mention that all of these specific tutorials for the specific add-ons are on my channel. You guys are just looking at this one. Go on my channel and watch where I explain how these settings actually work, like what every hotkey does, what every setting is for each of the add-ons. This one is just more about showing the workflow with everything combined. And there it is, just a little APC sketch. And thank you guys for watching. I'll be making more videos like this. We'll be releasing more add-ons. I really appreciate all the support. And yeah, thank you.